What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Giselle, and today I have another special video for you. We have Miss Candice here. She is a sonographer, and she's been doing ultrasound for over 7 years. She is a mother of 3 and has 1 grandson, and she also has her own businesses. I think you have more than one. She knows so much. She's a great motivator in our community, and she's a part of our Discord community, Instagram community. She definitely inspires so many, so I'm so happy that I have her here on the channel for you guys. So here's Candice.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. Well, my name is Candice Marie. That's my handle. I typically go by that name, Candice Marie. I am a sonographer, a registered sonographer. I hold my specialty in just abdomen at the current time. I've been scanning for over 7 years. I am a single mother of three beautiful children, and I also have a cute little grandson. My journey has been, oh my gosh, I probably could talk about it for hours. Like, it's been very interesting. I started out very young as a mother. I was actually a teenage mom. I had my first child at the age of 15. I had a very supportive family, and that's why I encourage so much about inspiring and motivating people and encouraging, others to just keep, if whatever you're trying to accomplish, just keep at it. Because I do know if I did not have that love and support of my family, a lot of things, it would have taken me even that much longer, or it would have been even more challenging for me to accomplish certain goals. But at that time, at the age of 15, come on, man, you're still a child. You're still trying to have fun. You're still trying to, learn about yourself. So here I am with this adult responsibility at 15. And I must say, like I said, with the help of my family, I navigated through that very well. I finished high school on time. I graduated from high school with honors. I started college as soon as I graduated. And then I got married at 20. I got married at an early age and had my second child at 21. And then I had my third child at 28. And so I have been working full time during that time with being a mother, a wife, navigating through school. So through that journey, through those years, those early years, I kind of did school off and on. So there were some years where I would go full time, where I wasn't really working that much. Then I had to stop and work full time. So I would say over the span of about maybe 10 years, it took me just that long to finish school and get my degree in sonography and really start working in a field that I love. Now, during that time, I actually worked as a pharmacy technician. I was a certified pharmacy technician. So I worked in the pharmacy for over 10 years. So I always kind of kept my hands in the medical industry. Even when in high school, I actually volunteered at a radiology facility and did their filing for them, for like a work study kind of like program in high school, because I had all of my credits. And I didn't have to stay in school my senior year the entire day. So I went to a vocational facility, maybe for like two periods or something like that. And I was able to actually learn about things in the healthcare industry, basically like CNA, like certified nursing assistant, duties and things like that. So it was very hands-on. And then I did the volunteer work at the radiology place. But after that, like I said, I went to college. My interest at that time, I was focusing in on radiology. I was thinking about going into the radiation therapy track. And then, so I had about 10 more classes to take. And at the time, my husband, he had to relocate. So I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I would say around 2006, he actually got a promotion with his job, and we moved. So that's where I currently reside now, in the Atlanta area. And we moved and school stopped for me. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? So luckily, I still have my certification in pharmacy. And so I was able to transfer within the company and continue on working. One of the pharmacists at the location where I work, because I had eventually enrolled back into school, and I was like, okay, let me go in and see what other classes I can take. The school at the time where I graduated from, they have a radiology program and they also have an ultrasound program as well. So I was like, bingo, let me go ahead and get in. Got all my transcripts and everything transferred. And I said, okay, I need to finish my A&P classes, those core prerequisites that you need. And so I was done. I wrote my essay. I was like, okay, I'm going to apply. I'm ready. Let's see what happens. And I did not get in. And so I was so confused. I'm like, well, I don't understand. I applied twice for the radiology program. And on that second attempt, I went in and actually scheduled a meeting with the actual program director, and had a conversation with him. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, your essay was excellent. Everything was good. He said, this is very competitive, and there's this one class that you might want to consider taking over. And I'm like, what class is that? And I believe it was my psychology course. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why? I don't want to take this over. And he said, even still, there's no guarantee. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And after that meeting, like I'm very close with my pharmacy community, and the pharmacists there that I work with. And one of the pharmacists was like, have you ever considered ultrasound? And I'm like, I kind of have. I thought about it, but then I was like, I don't know. I said, I'm familiar enough with it, just from being a mother and having that experience with it. But at that time, I did not know that there were so many other specialties with ultrasound. So I began to do research at that time. And when I did my research, and I was like, you know what? Because I knew I wanted to be in diagnostics, something with imaging. And I'm like, okay, here it is, ultrasound. So I researched, and I went and set up an appointment at the school with the advisor just to make sure I had everything that I needed. And they were like, well, you actually have 2 more classes that you would need. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm tired of school at this point, thinking to myself, like, more classes? And they were like, yeah, you're going to have to take physics and you need to take statistics. And I'm like, ooh, I'm like, man, a math class? And I felt like math was just not my strong point. And I'm like, why do I have to take math? But I changed my attitude. I'm like, okay, Candice, if this is something that you want, you're going to have to just do it. You have to just you got to do it. So long story short, got in there, took those prerequisites, aced them, did exceptionally well in them. Had no idea that I actually started loving statistics. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh God, I'm turning into a real nerd here. I'm like, I love it. And so, aced it, went through those classes, applied to the ultrasound program, got in on the first try, did ace the interview process because it was a panel. It was like maybe 4 sonographers sitting there, and the program director, including the program director, aced it. They loved it. And I was so eternally grateful because I wasn't nervous, because at that point I was just like, okay, if it's for me, it's just going to work. It's going to flow. And I just went in there, and the interview basically turned into a conversation. It was a conversation, and it just flowed. And we were sitting there just chatting like friends almost. And so at the end of the interview, the program director walked me out, and she pat me on my shoulder. She said, listen, you have nothing to worry about. She said, don't even worry about it. Go home, get something good to eat, treat yourself, and you'll be hearing from us. And I was like, okay, I got it. A couple of weeks later, after they finished everything, I was at work in the pharmacy, opened up my email, my school email, and beautiful email. Congratulations, you've been accepted into the ultrasound. I was like, oh my God. I screamed so loud. Like everybody was excited. And because I know how hard I had worked to get to that point. Got into the ultrasound program. I still worked very minimally because ultrasound program you get in, it's a full-time commitment. It is a full-time commitment, and all I could work was just on the weekends at that time, which was fine. And I did that for the majority of my time, even in ultrasound school. I still worked in the pharmacy on the weekends. And then some months I would take off. They would allow me not to even work at all because they knew I was in school. And so some months I didn't work at all. Then other months I would pick up an extra day or two just to help them out on the weekends. I was one of those people that I'll work on the weekend. I'm fine with that. So I did that throughout my entire time in ultrasound school. And going through that process, like, oh God, major life event that occurred. Unfortunately, I went through a divorce at the start of actually getting into ultrasound school, which was very like detrimental because it was like, okay, now I'm in this program that's very demanding of my time and energy and everything, and then I'm dealing with so much outside of school, So when I got in, I kind of struggled a little bit. I struggled a little bit, like the first couple of tests that we had in anatomy and physics, like I bombed them just horribly. The first two, I would say. And then the third one came and I struggled. It was a little better. At that point, I got called in. Well, you haven't been passing these couple of tests, and so they kind of put me on like a little probation type thing, and I literally broke down and started crying, like because nobody knew all that I was dealing with, and because I just left all of that outside, but it was still in here internally, so I didn't talk about it, and I knew at that point after I had that meeting with the director, I'm like, okay, Candice, all right, if this is something that you're going to do, yes, you're dealing with all of these things on the outside, but you're going to have to find a way to compartmentalize all of this stuff because this is the only way it's going to get done. It's either you do it this way or you don't do anything at all and you just deal with everything else. And then now all of that, you're just going to be that much more farther behind with what you are planning to do. And that's how I thought about it in my mind. And so I had to figure out a way how to compartmentalize everything that I was doing. And for those of us that you guys that are in ultrasound school now, or just in school period full time, you know how demanding it is, especially when you get into your actual program. It is so demanding. It requires so much of your time and energy. For me, I'm a very visual learner. And with the ultrasound, most of it is hands-on. Once you actually get in and start doing the work, your visual is hands-on. I excelled in that area. So I had to figure out a different way how to study. With all of that information that gets dumped on you, and my program was accelerated. I mean, you just dumped up so much information all the time. You have to figure out what works best for you in terms of getting that information in and retaining it. And for me, like I said, I'm visual. So when I see a lot of content, a lot of information, I would get a little overwhelmed with it. And I'm like, how am I going to get this in? So what I would do, like I had to go through and I highlighted like main points when I studied. I said, I don't have a whole lot of time to sit here and study for hours and hours upon time because keep in mind, I'm a mom. I had 3 kids that I had to tend to. They were active in school activities, so I had to be engaged with that. I still had to study, and then I still worked minimally on the weekend. So I had to find a way how to balance all of that home, work, school life, which is oh my God, it's tremendous, but it can be done. So once I figured out how to study, and I would like condense things down, just cut it short. I'm like, focus in on main key points that you need to focus on. And I wouldn't sit and study for long periods of time. Because I would study like maybe an hour at most, stop, give myself a break, go get a snack, handle things in the house, do things with the kids, let them get engaged with them because I still had to spread my time. And then I would go back and study some more. And I began to retain the information differently instead of me sitting there for hours, like, oh my God, I got to get all this information in, because that's what I was doing at first. I'm like, okay, I got to sit here, I got to do all this stuff, I got to sit here, I got to sit here. And that just was not working for me, especially with everything else that I had going on. Some people can actually sit down for hours and retain it and they're fine. Mm-hmm. But for me, that did not work. So I had to cut down, do shorter periods of study time throughout the day. So I was always in my books, even when I'm busy doing something, because what I would do after I have read something, I'm rehearsing it in my mind, thinking about it while I'm doing other things. Mm-hmm. And listening. Audio was another good thing that helped me. So anything that you can listen to when you're busy doing other things, definitely tap into resources like that, audio messages, and especially like anybody that has a platform like yours, Giselle, where you have videos. Even if you're not looking at the video, if you put it on and you just listen to what's being said, you're retaining that information, and then you can go back and visually look at some things as well. So that's how I learned, listening, and then I would go back and visually look at things. But as far as like the reading content, I just condensed it down, break it down, and I took a lot of breaks. After I started doing that, my grades went up. Everybody was excited. They were like, oh my God, did you see your grades? I'm like, yes. And they were so happy for me. And my ultrasound family at the school, they were so supportive. I give them shout outs all the time. Very supportive. And I just began to just soar straight through school. Graduated with honors in my class. Excellent. I got awards for being the best student in clinical sites. All of those things, because like I said, the scanning was never like, I always loved it. I picked up on it very easily. It's really good to, have good people and to connect with communities that actually give that support, because it's much needed. That's why I love what you are doing with the Discord. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, I wish that I had more resources like that. And maybe they existed, but I don't think they did that much. It's just like now it's becoming like more to the forefront that a lot of us are coming out and being more supportive and engaging with other students and sonographers who just to give that support, because sometimes that's all you need is somebody who can listen to your concerns and who can relate to some of the things. And that's where that building that community is awesome, because like you said, there's so many people that experience different things during their journey. Like for me, I was the only one in my class that was married and was going through all that I was going through, and who had kids. The only one. And I was actually one of the oldest, because I graduated when I was 34. 34. Everyone in my class was like early 20s. Early 20s. They didn't know how old I was. And they were like, oh my God, you got kids? I'm like, yeah. I love being around people of all ages, because I feel like you can learn so much. I feel like a young spirit. Like, I literally feel like I'm 20 years old half the time. So I can relate to so many different age groups, and I love that. I love being able to do that. My journey, oh my gosh, it's been wild. It's been wild, to say the least. And you really have to just really focus. You have to focus and always remember what your why is. Why you're choosing to do this. You chose to get into ultrasound school. Okay, so now what do I have to do now? So this going to help me to continue down this journey and be excellent at what I'm doing. So you can't get so focused on perfecting everything. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that. Because with some of my classmates, they were so used to making A's on everything, and I mean, they were depressed and just, you know, and even our instructors were like reminding everybody, like, listen, this is like something you've never even experienced and done before. This is a whole different type of learning, you know. And then once you get into that mindset of just like, okay, I'm just going to get the most out of everything that I can and pass and do as best as I can, instead of adding that extra stress to yourself of trying to be perfect with everything, because it's just, it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And once you realize and understand that, you can begin to put your energy into where it's going to be the most productive. So sitting there worrying about, oh, I got to get 100, I got to get an A, I got to get an A, I got to get an A. Sometimes you're not going to get an A. Sometimes you might get a B. Sometimes you might get a C. And that was okay for me, because I knew, I'm like, am I passing? Am I eligible to come back the next semester? Can I? That's all I focused on. And when I did not put that much pressure on myself and focused on just getting through everything, I just excelled. Everything started flowing because I didn't add that extra stress to myself. A lot of times that whole learning experience, it's a huge learning curve for ultrasound.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you're going to pick up on very easily. Other things are going to be a little bit more challenging. And it depends on your program too, and how much exposure you get, you know, as far as your clinical sites. I've been to some clinical sites and they didn't want you to even touch the probe. It's just like, you just stand there and watch. Okay. You know, we used to have those discussions, you know, like, man, well, how am I going to learn? How am I going to do anything if I can't put my hands on it? But again, watching, you can learn a lot by watching.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn a lot by watching, because I tell some of the students that actually direct message me and ask me questions and feedback about the clinical experience and how do you go through that. It's just like, you really have to just be in the mindset once you get in that clinical setting, like they always tell you, it is an interview process. Your entire time while you are at your clinical sites, you're on an ongoing interview. So the main thing that I would always say and give advice to people, the students, I would say, pay attention to the flow of that clinical site, because all clinical sites are not created equal.
Mm-hmm.
They all flow differently. So you can't get caught up on, well, I went to my first rotation and they did this that way and they did all of that. And then you go to your second rotation clinical site and you're thinking, well, I went over there and they didn't do it like that. No. You are to observe what's going on at that clinical site, and please always keep a notebook. Always keep a notebook as a student at ultrasound school, because listen, the sonographers are actually working. They're on their job. They're working. They're responsible for that department. They still have to run around. They have to get the patients. They're doing the stats. They're doing procedures. They're answering the phone. All of these things, these moving parts that take place in the clinical setting in the hospital. And you as the student, you need to observe that. Figure out what the workflow is. Pay attention to it. Any way that you can help out. If they don't want you to scan, be paying attention to the rooms. Make sure everything stops. Ask questions like, hey, do you need me to help you? Can I go grab a patient for you? Pay attention to that when you first get there and figure out how they get their patients into the department. If you pay attention to that, that would be a help, because I know when I started working, if I had a student, them going to grab a patient was like gold for me, because I'm like, good. I can go ahead and get started with I can do my history, my patient histories. I can spend a little bit more time on that. I can go ahead and get the room set up while they go grab the patient, because I know they might take a little longer than what I would. So I had a little bit more time to prepare for the patient, and it was beautiful. They kept the room stocked. I didn't have to worry about gel, any of that stuff. So any way that you can be of help to the department in any way, do that. Make sure things are organized and just do that, because it goes a long way. Even though you're not touching the probe per se, but you're helping out in other ways that's needed for that clinical site. Then you'll have those clinical sites that they want you to scan. They want you to take the initiative. They won't even ask you if you want to scan, because they want to see just how eager you are. You have to show initiative, you have to take initiative, you have to be a team player. That's one of the skills that you have to have. You have to be able to adapt to your environment, because all environments are not going to be the same, especially like working in a hospital. You know about that. A hospital work is different from outpatient. Totally different in so many ways. There's so many moving parts in the hospital. And I started out working in a hospital. I learned a lot in the hospital. And I would say for students, when you're starting out, definitely you want to get that hospital experience, because it exposes you to so many different scenarios with ultrasound, and you learn so much that when you do get that outpatient job, it's like it's a different level of appreciation. And not only that, you're going to have some challenges in outpatient as well, but then you have all of this wonderful hospital experience to pull from, you know. So it's you know, I kind of miss the hospital sometimes, but at the same time, outpatient was that's where it's at for me. So the past 3 years, I was in a specialty area. I worked in urology. So in the urology setting, I mean, you're dealing with the renal patients, you're doing the renal ultrasounds. We dealt with a lot of men's health issues. So we did tons of scrotal ultrasounds, which you don't really get to do or see in school too often. You know, you might see them on your clinical site, you might scan a few, but you're not really doing it in school per se. We did a lot of scrotal ultrasounds. They had a specialty with penile Dopplers. That's one thing that you won't learn that in school. You learn that on the job in a specialized area. So that kind of gave me an element of kind of keeping up with a little bit of vascular studies, because most of the other positions that I worked in the vascular lab as well. But I don't have RVT or anything yet. I'm working on that. I'm actually studying that now. And it's a lot of information. It's so much, because you're registered in vascular, and it's a lot of different moving parts with that. But the urology world, I mean, I loved it. I love urology. We also had another specialized area with the urology and gyne combined. So we actually saw a lot of women who had pelvic floor issues. So we actually had to learn how to scan what they call is introital imaging. And what that is just the outside opening of all of the female parts. So you're able to look at the actual the vaginal area, the bladder, the rectum, and you're looking at all of those parts from a different view. It's a whole, you got to twist your brain with learning that view. You know, it's all about angles and views and ultrasound. So once you learn that and learn the relational anatomy, you can get it. But we did the scans to assess for like pelvic floor issues, like pelvic organ prolapse. Sometimes you would get a prolapse of the bladder going into the vaginal area. You're looking for that. You'll get a rectocele where the rectum prolapses into the vaginal area. You get an interocele. An interocele is when the intestines prolapse into the vaginal area. So you were able to see that. You were able to see diverticulums of the urethra. And it's a lot of Valsalva movements for the patient. So when you do the Valsalva on the patients, that's when you're able to assess all these moving parts, because nothing should move. But if things start shifting and moving, then you know that there are some issues there. You know, we did the rectal imaging, all of that. So there's so many things about ultrasound that I love that you can get into, and that's the beauty of it. You don't just have to just be in one specialized area with ultrasound. And when I discovered that even piqued my interest even more. And it's like, this is a cool field. And the thing is, we have to know so much information. I feel like we as sonographers, we don't get a whole lot of credit for knowledge and the skills that we actually have and have to continue to develop. Even when you're scanning for years, you're still learning. And we have to keep up with technology. Your communication skills have to be on point because we're talking to the physicians, other healthcare providers, and being that we have this huge responsibility and being the doctor's eyes, because we're scanning real time. It's not like we're taking still images, like with some of the x-ray studies and stuff. Nothing's really in motion. We're actually watching things, real time. Things are happening, and right there. So it's amazing the skills that we have. And I absolutely love ultrasound, and for that reason, because such an instrumental part of the diagnostic team. And I love the fact that we're bringing more awareness about ultrasound and the importance of it, and again, giving people the support that they need as they navigate through their journey, because that is priceless. I say I wish I had a Giselle. I wish I had a Candice who was there, somebody we can just talk to, because a lot of times that's all you need. You need somebody to talk to and give you a little bit more insight and clarity about some things, and let you know that you're not alone and you're not crazy. You're feeling what you feel is okay, and you're going to get through it. You just have to, tap into the resources that are available, because there's much more resources now than it has been for, people to get the support that they need and have somebody that they can communicate with. So it's been a journey, and it's definitely been a journey. And like I said, I can talk for days. Like
that's what I love about ultrasound. There's so much to talk about. We're still learning. You've done this so much more than I have, and like I still am learning so much from you. It's just a crazy field to go into, because a lot of people are scared. The first reason they're scared to go into is first math and physics, but it's just so much more than just math and physics, as you can already tell by your whole conversation. And I love that so much. But yeah, I mean, I wish when I was in school that I had all of this that's happening now, because I know it's just growing from here. And you're just so motivating, and I love it so much. Just all the advice that you're giving is like the only advice that everyone could ever need as a student. It's seriously the things that we need to hear, because we're so hard on ourselves, I think.
absolutely. This, like I said, it's a journey. It's a process. You just have to kind of just strap in and just get ready and just enjoy it. Because when we create that extra stress on ourselves, sometimes we have so many things that are so much out of our control that come our way, so it's just like, why add the extra stress to yourself? It's already enough. Just focus on what you need to focus on, get in what you need to get in, and keep moving. And the thing that I love too, in our program, we had to keep journals, and we had to turn those in as a grade. By the end of the week, we would talk about our experiences at clinical sites, just feelings, anything. And I thought that was a very good element that they added to the program, because I absolutely loved that. And you were able to vent about your concerns and your feelings within that journal space and turn it in. And we got graded for that. And I would always end my journal entry as, I'm still in the race. Because I kind of felt like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare. It's just like the tortoise was just like slow and steady. He started out slow. He was just steady. The hare was like, go, 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 go. Like, some students are like, oh, I gotta get it. I gotta go. I gotta get it. And now you're burnt out, and you're like, oh, okay, I can't do anymore. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna do this. But that tortoise is just like, I'm just chunking. I'm just moving. And that's how I kind of looked at myself, because that's how I started out. I was just like, slow and steady. And I still kept that pace, just slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. So it's not how you start, but how you finish. So you just have to keep yourself motivated and keep going. You have to just keep making steps. Keep making steps. Keep making steps. And sometimes, guess what? Sometimes you do have to stop. It's okay to stop sometimes too. Not saying that, if you have to stop and take a break from something that means you're a failure. No, it doesn't mean you're a failure. That just means you have to take care of your mental health, because your mental health is very important. Your mental health is very important. And if you're that heavy to the point where you cannot manage any of it, sometimes you have to take a break. You have to take a break. And that's why I said with that intermittent studying, for me, that's how I study. I had to take a break. I got to get my mentals together before I can tackle anything else. And once you have this together, that just makes everything else just flow so much differently for you in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to approach mostly everything that from that aspect, and it's challenging sometimes because you're like, oh God, I can't. But so you have to keep yourself motivated. You do have to stay encouraged in so many ways in order to keep things going.
Right. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, it's so helpful. It's going to help everyone that watches this video. So I guess my question would be like, at what point did you figure out that you wanted to move on from just scanning and do what you're doing now?
Yes, like I would say about the past maybe 3 to 4 years, I looked at some things and I was like, you know what? It would be cool to actually start my own business with this. And it's still so new. Like I formed my business entity and formed everything last year, right at the start of COVID, the infamous COVID that we're still dealing with. And at the time, I was working and just trying to build so many different things for the business. Sono Image is the name of it, and I got everything together, got my graphics together, and all of this stuff. COVID hits. I not only took a break with that, but I also got furloughed during the pandemic as well.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I started this business. I even started marketing and talking to people, and at the point, a lot of people they didn't want to make any other commitments because COVID was so new. Nobody knew what they wanted to do. They was like, I just don't know. So I took a break from that, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go back to my job. But they ended up laying off so many people, and I happened to be one of those people that got laid off. So I haven't worked at all, for the past several months. And that in itself has been, I say, a very major life changing event for me because it's like, here I am. Okay, I have this vision to start this business. I kind of had to put things on hold with that. My job is gone, and then I'm looking like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I really going to do now at this point? And so been looking for jobs, trying to get in, with recruiters and just said, well, maybe I'll get some travel jobs. Got in with that.
Mhm.
Nothing opened up. Like I would have interview after interview after interview after interview. And at first it became a little discouraging because I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what's what is this? I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? What's going on? And so just going through all of that during this season for the past several months it gave me a whole lot more time to really do a whole lot of self-reflecting. Still have a huge passion for scanning. Love it. And so what I did is I tapped in more to my personal branding, which was just kind of being there to offer the support, the motivation, giving some ultrasound tips, which I do a lot of that. I get so many people contacting me, and I didn't even know. I'm like, oh my God, people actually are seeing what I'm doing. They're like, oh, well, I love your content. And I'm just like, okay, well, awesome. So I'm like, I'm still able to give back to the ultrasound community in such a way that I feel that is helpful, and people are actually noticing it, and they're reaching out to me. And like I said, just having somebody that you can just sit and talk with, kind of like what we're doing now, and just talk about, the importance of having a community of people that you can talk to and get the support and the resources for. I have been so fulfilled even during a season where I felt like so many things were kind of doors were shutting down, that I still was able to still be of some sort of a resource or a light for other people. So to me, that has been so fulfilling, even during my season of transition, that I'm still able to give back. And that's why I don't mind like sitting talking with somebody or coming up with little, motivational content or posting ultrasound information, little tidbit pieces of ultrasound information for people to take a look at and, save. It's just the little things. So I have really been eternally grateful and thankful even through this season that I've still been able to, do something and still be productive with ultrasound. And one day, real simple, I know all it takes is one good contract, just one, so that I can really get things going because I have everything in place. I'm working on my website now, just getting all that stuff together. It's a lot. And I've tapped in with some people that have some really good business resources. Shout out to Advanced Imaging Inc. They have a company where they actually help sonographers who are interested in starting their own mobile businesses. They have a turnkey business, platform that will help you to navigate through that entire process. So I'll be connecting with them in the future to kind of help me to navigate with getting some more business resources together. And also another thing that I'm going to branch out into is actually doing a 3D 4D imaging studio as well. So that's coming to play. I'm bringing all these different things together, and I figured a good way to start out with that is just to do like gender reveals and little sneak peeks, little stuff like that, and do that mobily. So I'm getting that together. Start out small with that, get some little appointments, some house calls going with that, and then eventually get the business money and the funds that I need so that I can have an actual boutique and event space. Because that's what I'm going to do with the 4D, the 3D 4D imaging boutique. It'll be like an event space as well, to where people can come in and get their scans, and they can also host their gender reveal parties, baby showers, or little parties in the events, and have classes held there as well. So I have a whole vision for that. So there's going to be some things in the future, near future, that I'll be tapping into.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that so much. It's like to know that there's just so much more beyond, right? There's so much more beyond. But I appreciate you so much for sharing everything and being here and sharing your journey and being so supportive and motivating to this community. You're really a light and everyone sees it, and we're just always like, oh my gosh, it's Candice, yay. And whenever you post in the Discord and stuff, it's so exciting and so motivating.
Yes, and I'm so thankful for you for creating all those different chat rooms.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, guys, listen. Those chat rooms that we have on the Discord, they are amazing, and there's so much going on all the time. And
Yeah.
I love it. I was so I remember when you started it. I was like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. And it has grown
Yeah.
so much, and I love it. I love the fact that you have that vision to just get all those things orchestrated together like that, and it's taking off. It's taking off, and I love it because anytime you feel like, okay, well, let me, what did they say about the vascular or whatever OB, or you go right to that chat room, and you're
Mhm.
like, okay, you have all these different conversations going on. So
Mhm.
I love that you've done that. I really do. I feel like that's going to be and it is a very valuable resource for the ultrasound community, and I see it just taking off, and it's opened up so many other doors for you that you don't even know what's in store for yourself.
No.
I mean, we might have to get a panel, start doing some public speaking events and getting some things going on a larger scale, and um it's going to be awesome. I feel like there's so many more great things that's beyond even where you are,
Mhm.
and you have been a light. And then I remember when you reached out to me, I'm like, oh my god, she I feel honored. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, I'm
So
honored
I was
too. Oh my gosh.
I said, I feel honored in the fact, and you inspire me. You have no idea. I'm really kind of shy. I'm an introvert, really.
Saw that. You're an introvert.
I am an introvert. I am an introvert, and the whole videos, and I'm trying to challenge myself
Do
to
it.
do.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I need to do more of that, and I've only done a few videos, and I'm like, okay, Giselle is such an inspiration. I'm like, she's getting these videos in, she's having fun with it, and I'm like, okay, they really appreciate seeing your personality, and I think that's what it's the authenticity is what people are drawn to.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, that is a challenge for me with the whole video. I
Yeah.
think need to change my mindset in the way how I look at it. It's like, okay, make it fun,
Yeah. It's a
make
lot.
it fun. So
Yeah.
how did it's amazing all that you do with that, and I appreciate you for doing
Oh,
that.
thank you. I mean, there were years that I wanted to do it. I've had my YouTube channel for a long time since I was in high school, and I would post just mainly family stuff, and then it turned into Disney stuff, and like I really loved making videos. And my personality on the videos is basically who I am in real life. Like I'm really weird and awkward and all this good stuff that every one of us are. But i I really found it like deep in my heart after I watched this movie called I Still Believe. We're all talking about it in the Discord, and some of the people are in there watching the movie, and it's just basically sharing your life story and hopefully helping one other life with your life story, right? And how motivational you are. You're helping hundreds and thousands of people's lives. And the goal was just to help one life when I made that one video, the day in the life. And I was just like, I think it'd be so interesting for people to see what hospital ultrasound is like, because no one knows what hospital ultrasound is like. It's a whole nother world. I mean, and I just loved saying the whole, you don't just scan babies. You don't just scan babies, but that is the biggest part of our career, is to scan those babies and to scan the pregnant moms and all that good stuff. But there's just so much more to it. And I wanted to share that. And I was just so surprised at how much it skyrocketed from there. I just was like, what? This is crazy. But then, finding you guys in the community, I mean, the whole Discord wouldn't be what it is without you guys. And I mean, I'm just one person. And then to know that you guys are talking to each other and inspiring each other, being kind to one another. That's what I wanted to do. Because honestly, what I noticed before was that a lot of people weren't really nice. Like a lot of like older sonographers weren't kind. And
Yes.
it was just the truth, right? And I wanted to be able to shift that and to show that, there are sonographers out there who are willing to help and to not just be like kind of leave you in the dust. Because I remember back then too, it was kind of just like, okay, you just go and learn, right? But to have someone help you or give you advice or motivate you, I mean, we've all been through it,
Oh yeah.
and all been through it in different ways. And that's why I just like bringing you guys on to share your stories, to show like, hey, we all went through it and you're
Mhm.
capable of doing anything if you put your mind to it, which is pretty much everyone's story. We've all had really hard times in our lives, but we've still made it out of it. And there's still so much more in the future for all of us. That's just what I wanted to do. And hopefully one day it gets even bigger. I mean, I know, like you said, things just, it takes time. And that's all that we really need to give ourselves, is grace and time, and to just have a community around us. And that's what I'm thankful for, is all of you guys. So thank you for being here.
Yes, yes. It's you're so welcome. Like like I said, you inspire me. You inspire so many other people, and it's. I see great things just happening. Great things are just they're on the way, far beyond what any of us can imagine at this point. I really do believe that, and I see that. And like you said, it's just staying focused, remembering why you're doing what you're doing, and being humble. That's the thing. That's a big thing, is just being humble and allowing yourself and giving yourself that grace to just, it's okay. Just take your time, one thing at a time, and things begin to just flow, and everything falls in line, and you're like, wait a minute, did that just happen? Oh my God, I'm really doing that. Oh my goodness. Wow. And you just, and then that just motivates you even further. It's like, okay, I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because sometimes you think that you're supposed to be doing one particular thing and then other things come your way and they're kind of like, oh no, you're going to go over here. And then you feel that much more fulfilled in everything that you're doing. And that's the thing, you want to be fulfilled in what you're doing. And that looks different for everybody. So you don't have to have this cookie cutter type way of doing something. If it's flowing and it's working and people are loving it and you feel good about it within your spirit and your heart about what you're doing, everything else is going to come with that. You're going to get the love, you're going to get the support. If you're supposed to monetize whatever it is that you're doing, the money's going to flow. All of that stuff is going to come. It's just walking in what your purpose is and knowing that everything is going to come the way how it needs to come. That's going to be in your best interest. I see great things happening. I see great things happening.
I'm excited for all your stuff that you're doing and that you're going to go through. And I know that the world is crazy right now, but you know, there are better days that are coming. And there's one more thing I wanted to ask you or talk about before you go, which is basically how do you stay motivated to stay so fit and do all your workouts that you do? Guys, if she's not in her Discord, she's like the biggest like fitness motivator in there, I swear. And we're always, me and Emma, we're always like, oh my gosh. She was like texting me. She's like, oh my gosh, Candace, I just want to, you know, I want to do what she's doing. And then I'm like, yeah. And then I'm over here being so lazy. Like, how do you do it?
Listen, like I can honestly say I wasn't always that in tune with fitness and being healthy and all of those things, and I did some of it a little bit along the way, and then especially during this time, I'm like, listen, you need to pour into yourself. You need to get up, you need to be motivated, you need to, you want to change some things about how you're feeling physically, all of these things, and health and wellness, they all go hand in hand. Get up. Let's you want to start seeing some changes, you want to see some things move in your life, then you have to get up. And that's why the working out for me and doing my classes, and I do a lot of things virtually. People are like, how do you get motivated to even do it at the house? Like, how you're not going? I'm like, no excuses. Let's just get it done. Like, if this is what you're gonna do, then let's just do it. It gives me a certain level of accountability too for myself. And so I show up, I get my classes in, I work out for an hour. Sometimes I work out twice a day. So I'm usually doing something every 4 to 5 days a week, pretty consistently. And just changing the diet up a little bit, because what we put in our body. Don't keep in mind that I eat unhealthy sometimes too. Like, I love sweets. I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I will try anything to eat. I love so I have to keep all of that in check. I do enjoy my food. I feel like, and I don't go have like a diet per se. I have balance. And I think that can be applied in so many different areas of our life, not only in the fitness realm, but just in all areas. Like, you got to have balance. So I incorporate that in what I'm doing. And I listen to my body. If I have days where I'm just tired, I don't work out. And it's okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to refuel yourself and recharge. It actually helps me. I love working out. I've stepped into a whole nother thing. I feel good. My body is changing on the outside, on the inside, and it really helps the mental clarity. It's good for stress. If you're having dealing with some difficulty in school or something like that, you don't have to do a very rigorous workout. Just maybe 10 minutes of something. If you want to jog in place for 10 minutes, listen to your favorite music, put on a video, listen to your ultrasound notes, audio, and just maybe jog in place 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Next thing you know, you have ran in place for 30 minutes and you've completed a whole audio session of the abdomen.
There you go.
So you have to it's just finding ways to get it in. And that's how I have to do it. Because sometimes when I'm not even doing my 1 hour workout, I'm listening to music all the time. dance in my kitchen. That's cardio. While I'm cooking food, because I love to eat. So it's definitely been a good journey. It's been a good transition in terms of fitness for me, and I feel like I'm getting stronger, you know. And when you begin to see those small changes, those small results, that motivates you even more to just keep doing what you're doing. I
Oh,
love it. I love it. I love that you have that chat room in there. It's nice.
I mean, that's the one that we see you also in the most, and I love it so much. That one and the motivation chat. So if you guys are not in Discord and you guys want to join, you can find me in the description box, the Instagram or my email. You can message me for that. And then also, I'm gonna put Candice's information in the description box below. She has this whole thing that's all about her, and I'm gonna put that website in the description box. And where can they find you on your social medias?
Well, yes, you can follow me on Instagram at CandiceMarie.cms. Those are my initials. So it's CandiceMarie.cms. And yeah, just look me up. Follow me.
Definitely have to follow her. She posts like all these motivational things. She is going to be in your corner, which I'm so thankful that you are in all of our corners. And you know, just keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring, keep being so amazing. I love it so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and it is an honor.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to have you here. As always, you guys, you know, be kind to one another, stay positive, you know, stay safe out there. The world is still trying to get better. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel because that's what we do. It was so nice talking to you. We'll see you probably. I'm gonna have you also in another video in the future. I don't
Okay,
know. I
sounds
would
cool.
you. And
Let's
we're
do
gonna
it.
campaign. I'm gonna campaign for your YouTube channel. That's all.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Take care.